Hey everyone, Nathan here. Welcome back to Maple Street. I have a bit of a weird setup right now. I'm actually in the middle of changing some stuff around and I've gotten some new video gear, and so instead of setting up for what's only going to be taken down a minute later, I decided to just sit on my floor, put my camera on my desk, and film from here. I also just moved back to Arizona from Minnesota, so I'm also trying to transition from that. But anyways, I did want to sneak in a video before the Criterion sale ends at Barnes & Noble this month and give you 8 recommendations for Criterions that you should buy. In spine order, the first one I have is Army of Shadows. This is spine 385, so very early on in the collection. I saw it earlier this year and really just enjoyed the theme on espionage. The whole movie, you don't really know who to trust, and even those you do trust don't always end up being the best person. It's a pretty long movie, but it had me engaged the entire runtime, which is especially impressive because really it's just a lot of dialogue. But I'm kind of a sucker for espionage and movies like this, and so I really enjoyed it. The next movie I actually don't own yet, and I'm planning to get it. I promise I would be kind of a hypocrite if I didn't own it in my own collection, but it's spine number 530 and it comes in a box set. It is The Last Command. I haven't seen the other 2 movies in this box set, so I really want to get it so I can also check those out. But The Last Command, to me, it's worth buying the box set just to own that movie because I was floored by it. Emil Jennings is quite the controversial actor. If you just step aside from that and enjoy the movie for what it is, I think you'll have a really good time. Like, you know how you can watch a movie, you know it's just really well done, and so that translates to a good time? That's how The Last Command is. If I'm being honest, it's actually a pretty depressing movie, but for a silent movie to be very engaging and to have a plot that keeps me interested and invested in the story, that's very impressive. And I'm a fan of silent movies. They're just not always my go-to subgenre of film. All right, next I have spine number 756. It is Limelight. This was one of those movies I had seen for so many years in the collection while shopping for Criterions, and I always neglected it because my attitude was I want to see more Charlie Chaplin films because I know that this one in particular is kind of his swan song. It's the tribute to his career. He plays a has-been actor performer and you can see the parallels to his actual career, and so I wanted to prepare myself for such a deep role. I ended up watching it anyways as part of my challenge of completing my Criterion collection. And I will say, yes, definitely watch some Chaplin films leading up to this, but don't prolong it like I was because this one's actually really good and I think it will just make you appreciate Chaplin even more, especially when you discover those new ones that you haven't seen. I pretty much already gave the plot away. It's an aging performer who isn't as appreciated as he once was. He befriends a young dancer and they form a really sweet friendship. She is also very depressed to the point where she's suicidal, and so it's really neat seeing the connection that they form together. I'm not as big on Charlie Chaplin as others are. I prefer Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd, but I do still appreciate the guy. I love how talented he is, and so even for someone like me who's not his #1 fan, I still got a lot out of this movie and was touched by it, so I recommend it. The next movie I also don't own. I discovered it in between Barnes & Noble sales, and I haven't found it at one Barnes & Noble this July, but it is spine number 844, One-Eyed Jacks. Don't let that runtime intimidate you. I mean, it's nothing crazy long, but it is 2 hours, 20 minutes, which is a pretty decent amount of time to fork over. And I think what stood out to me so much about this movie is it didn't go the direction I was expecting. Basically, a man is out for revenge for someone who wronged him, and so I thought the entire movie would be about him searching for him, hunting him down so that he could get his revenge on him. But instead, he finds him within 30-40 minutes of the movie, and so the rest of the movie was a complete surprise to me. Marlon Brando is such a stud in this movie. He has this way of acting just simply cool. Yes, I mentioned it's a longer movie, but if you stick with it, I think you'll be very pleased by the outcome. All right, I talked about Charlie Chaplin earlier. I have another silent film star, Harold Lloyd this time, spine number 964, The Kid Brother. If I'm being honest, of all the 3 big silent film stars, Harold Lloyd is my favorite, which I feel like is kind of a hot take. I don't hear too many people talk about Harold Lloyd when he's in the conversation with Keaton and Chaplin. But to me, he checks off all the lists. I think Keaton is a little too serious at times. I think Chaplin is a little too dramatic at times. Harold Lloyd is that perfect balance of serious while being funny, while exaggerating, but not over exaggerating. He he fits my taste most. And I've recommended other movies from him before in these recommendation videos. I think The Freshman is the other one I've recommended. But really, you can't go wrong with any of his movies in the collection. I wanted to highlight The Kid Brother because it's probably my favorite of his after The Freshman. It's a very funny movie, and it's one that I could see myself revisiting pretty soon here. There's a particular sequence towards the end of the film involving a monkey wearing some shoes on a boat that had me dying laughing. It's possibly the funniest sequence I've ever seen in a silent movie. I don't know, I'd have to give that more thought, but it's at least in the conversation. So if you're trying to get into more silent films, particularly silent comedies, I highly recommend The Kid Brother. Next, we have Spy Number 979. It's a musical and a dancing movie. It is Swing Time. It's definitely a movie that you watch for the dancing, but the bonus was that there were good songs too. I feel like in some of these older movies, especially from the 30s, the music is a little harder to get into because it's really a sign of the times. Like, you can enjoy it, but it's not a song that you might have stuck in your head after you watch it. With Swing Time, I could think of a few songs that I just really enjoyed and were actually worthy of being stuck in my head and worthy of having in the conversation of great songs for musicals. And here I am talking about the musical numbers, the dance numbers. That's really the selling point. This scene on the cover right here is probably my favorite scene of the movie, which is saying a lot because there are a lot of great dancing numbers. I've seen quite a few Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire team-ups. This is my favorite one with the two of them. So Swing Time, check it out. Next up, Spy Number 1119. It is Miracle in Milan. If you're wanting a really feel-good movie to just enjoy and laugh at, this is definitely your movie. Can you imagine if I finished that sentence and said, don't watch this one? I don't really want to go into the plot details of this one because I think it's mostly fun to just let it happen, because some things happen in this movie that if you question it, it's just going to ruin the experience. And so watch the movie, let it happen, accept the logic that this movie has, because it is a fantasy and there definitely are magical elements. And if you allow the plot to resonate with you, I think you will come out a happier person and a more imaginative person. Plus, who doesn't like a feel-good movie? The final movie I'm talking about is Spy Number 1195. It's no surprise to you because it's literally the thumbnail of this video. It's The Others. When it comes to Criterion announcements that had me the most excited, The Others is definitely in the conversation. This is a movie that I had wanted Criterion to add for so long. And so the fact that I'm holding this copy in my hands and we have a beautiful cover of it is incredible. It's very well made. The story is executed perfectly and everything wraps up so nicely. I also am a little biased to this one because I did grow up with it. Maybe grow up with it is not the best way to say it. It was the first scary movie I ever saw and it traumatized me as a kid. I will say, don't go into it expecting a really scary movie though. Yeah, as a kid, I was horrified by it. I don't think it's the scariest movie today. I think it's better to watch as just a haunting tale, perfect for the spooky season in October, but it's also just a movie filled with great performances and, like I said, very well executed story. They had an idea on paper, they put it to screen, and it worked, which is always nice. And so if you haven't seen The Others, please pick it up this sale or another sale. It is absolutely incredible. Thank you all so much for watching. I apologize I'm getting this video to you so late in the month, but if you're watching it after July, now you have some recommendations for another sale. Make sure to check out my YouTube shorts where I've been showing my different Criterion hauls throughout the month. I have 2 hauls currently posted in my shorts, and I have 1 more coming to you still. Thanks all for visiting Maple Street. Have a great day.